Welcome to the Magna AI podcast, where we sit down with principals, district leaders, and instructional innovators who are reshaping what's possible in the classroom with a little help from AI. Together, we explore how school leaders are using smart tools and bold ideas to support teachers, personalize learning, and improve outcomes for every student. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Magna AI podcast. And today we have with us Karen Oliver. Karen is a Chief Academic Officer at Options ISD School, where she oversees curriculum, instruction, and professional learning across the district. Welcome, Karen, and great to have you today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. So, Karen, do you want to take a few minutes talking about your journey as an educator, what brought you to the field, and how you do see yourself going forward? Yeah.
So, I started at Ball State University with an undergrad in journalism and really fell in love with the teaching profession due to a couple of movies. I think it's funny to say, but through watching some of the more inspiring leaders that have been around for a long time, I was also a fast pitch pitcher, and I did a lot of camps with little kids. And while I was doing that, it was just a very natural skill that I seemed to have. And so someone said, hey, you should probably try and teach this. And I was like, oh, okay. So switched my major, ended up going to Indianapolis Public Schools in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I worked for 20 years as teacher, instructional coach, literacy coach, assessment coordinator. And then I went to Avon High School, where I was the multi-tiered systems of support director and kind of carried out some implementation there. And now I have landed back at Options Schools Incorporated, which has students more like the students in IPS, which are the students I am drawn to more so than your gifted and talented. It's 100% alternative ed at Options Schools. Getting ready to finish up my doctorate around social emotional learning and how we identify when students are thriving and how it impacts academic outcomes like attendance, graduation, credit attainment. So that's
wonderful.
Me.
Wonderful. That's an amazing journey. So as we go further into the podcast, I would like to discuss, and as you talked, right, like your role as an educator through the years, and you've been at different schools and districts. So what has been like your current district's approach to teacher support, and how has it evolved in the last few years?
So when I first came here, Options had started out as a very small school in 2000. We are now starting they had like 40 students, 60 students. Now we are up to about 1,300. When I came here, we were right around 900 students. They had some professional development that was seamless, if that makes sense. Like it was good PD, but there wasn't that thread that ran through all of the PD to make it connection. And I feel like myself and my instructional coach, who is now director of teaching and learning, Gretchen Taylor, have really changed that approach. In our school, every Wednesday is a half day for students, and we have PD in the afternoon. And then we have 5 extra full day PDs throughout the year. where we take some time and really hone in and focus in on our specific PD goals. So I feel like we have brought our professional development from more of a training. Oh, this is what we need now. Let's do it. Hurry up. To a, this is what we're doing, and here's the progress of how we're going to do it.
Great. So, have there been any specific strategies that have helped you retain like high performing teachers today? Like we see there's a lot of churn. I know there was a survey where I think it was either 3 out of 4 teachers would recommend the profession to the next generation. So if you could talk a little bit about some things that have worked for you, would be great.
So we really try and approach our teachers in a balanced fashion. That's a lot of PD if you think about it over a year. Half days and then 5 full days. And what we try and do is really try and balance that between, there are things that we need to kind of help you understand. Here are some new approaches and strategies, and here are things that the state require us to do. And we know you need time to prep. You need time to contact parents. You need time to grade. And so we really try and come up with a system. We're on quarters where at least once a quarter, each program can go out for a staff team event. And like they'll go bowling or axe throwing. They'll have lunch. That has been something that has been exceptional and seems to really work, especially with a strong principal. Our approach to our principals have also changed in that we're not trying to just fill a position. We're really trying to find those folks who believe in our mission, who believe in our motto, belong, believe, achieve, and really come in as someone who's going to be a pioneer and advocate for alternative ed students and give them that environment that they need to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, that work-life balance and being able to actually, also go behind get behind a mission, as you mentioned, right? So, great things. So now, if you have like different school sites as well, right? Then how do you actually manage that PD across school sites?
So we have different sites and we have different modes of instruction. So we have our brick-and-mortars, which are set up like a traditional school. One of them 6 through 12, the others 9 through 12. Those I consider kind of our easy management because, it's just like you get to see everybody every day. But then we also have a partnership with ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, I think. But it is for moderate to severe autistic students. And parents choose to take them to this therapy. And what they found is during the transportation from therapy back to their school, it was not working. It wasn't conducive for those students. It really triggered them in a way where they couldn't get back into the rhythm of learning or listening or doing any of those regulated things. So Options was asked to partner. So we have 3 sites where we work with autistic students, and the teacher-student ratio is 1-4.
Uh-huh.
And it's just very, very, very detailed. And then we just acquired a new brick-and-mortar in Portage, Indiana, which is about 2.5 hours from us. At New Vista's Options New Vista's high school, and they're very similar to our Westfield and Noblesville. So we still feel like that's kind of an easy manage. Then we also have a virtual school that's broken into 2 regions. options Indiana North and South. And so what we did specifically this year is we developed specific PD goals, shared those with all of the principals, had some of the days planned out on a milestones sheet. And then we had different tabs, one for Brick-and-Mortar, one for OI, one for ABA. And we asked principals to go in and give us feedback on the days that were empty. So we're trying to keep that balance. And we would like your input on what those days, the empty days, look like. So that's helped us keep in better touch with our virtual and our ABA than in the past. I've also been allowed, I came in as director of curriculum and instruction. A year ago, they made me chief academic officer and allowed me to transition my instructional coach to director of teaching and learning. So she's kind of taking the brick and mortar and I'm taking OI. And then if it's an in-person training that needs to happen, I go to Portage. So we're really doing a tag team approach to PD, to supports, to interventions, etc.
Great. Yeah, it's definitely is a challenge. So it's good that you have some help there. So now moving a little bit into like leveraging data and feedback loops to improve student outcomes. What is your approach to identifying if there are like instructional gaps across within a school as well as like across multiple schools?
So we have an performance framework that we use that identifies specific needs for our students around learning objectives, assessment, differentiation, and checks for understanding. And through that framework, we do monthly rotations. Of course, our principals are going in much more often, but then more of our executive team may go in like once a quarter or once a month. And we take a look. And what we do is we look for the missed opportunities rather than going in and saying, yep, no. We approach it as, you hit all of these things. And when you were teaching XYZ, there was an opportunity for you to introduce or an opportunity for you to check for understanding. And how do you think you could be sure to catch that next time? So it's more of a coaching type of approach. And we're really excited because this is our first year doing it alongside Trine University. And they're going to be coming in as well. And so we're going to be using that data to evaluate teachers, to coach teachers, to track growth and progress of teachers. And we're really excited to see what happens because when they came in and did a trial run in May, check for understandings were our greatest struggle. And it wasn't bad, but that's kind of one of the most important things that you want to see in instruction. And I'm sure students want to feel is, that they're constantly being checked in with. So we've made that one of our goals is to really hone in on how do you do check for understandings and how do you do it off the cuff? Let's say you didn't plan it, but hey, here's an opportunity. What are some things you could do that are real quick?
Interesting. So do like formative assessments, are you talking a little bit more of formative assessments or is it more like impromptu kind of feedback loops?
It's more impromptu feedback
Okay.
loop.
Okay.
We want those formatives, but the impromptu seems to be the challenge, right? And knowing and having those strategies you can go to quickly to say, hey, I could have checked right here what I thought about using just a thumbs up, thumbs down, just being very keeping things simple while being creative.
Yeah, totally. So now that let's say, for example, this is a really great example of something that you identified and you're providing feedback to teachers. How do you think this can be actually incorporated into like a long-term strategic decisioning or something similar that could actually help guide the overall strategy?
So while we're focusing in and honing in on that check for understanding, we also have some foundational work that we're doing. Number one, universal design for learning has been a big push for us for the last 2 years, and really being intentional on how we engage and represent each student, how we are identifying entry points and how we engage students. And this year, so we've really gone through that. So we're using the concepts and the strategies in universal design for learning to help with the check for understandings. We're also project-based learning focused in areas, not everywhere, but in areas. But we know with project-based learning, there's some really formative and formidable strategies that can be used with students and your instruction. And so that's another layer of foundational work that we're adding on this year in order to offer more opportunities for learning strategies and coming up with different ways to do those formative assessments versus the impromptu checks for understanding.
Yeah, these assessments are so critical to the overall learning objectives, as you mentioned, right? So, but again, or when we talk to different school leaders, and I see my son is in high school, and I see there as well, there is always this challenge of like teachers being so overburdened with the amount of assessments that they have to create and so on. And so, can you talk a little bit about that? How do you help teachers act on assessment data, and if you're facing those challenges too?
So I wouldn't say that we're in full implementation mode yet, but we've been working on common formative assessments and some common standardized assessments that can help us track data. We're using a platform called Analytics and Insights that's connected to PowerSchool. And we're actually trying to create not only written assessments, but also observational assessments. So one thing that we're trying to learn is, what is an observational assessment compared to a written assessment, and which students would be better served through that observational assessment. And those observational assessments are really broad in how you can show. But I mean, it can be a video, it can be an audio recording, it could be a conversation with the student. It could be, hey, we have 2 specific discussions that we're going to have today, and you document what that conversation looks like, rather than always having to put pen to paper or fingers to keys. So I'm excited about that work because we just started dipping our toes into that. But here is also an opportunity where, and my director of teaching and learning has really done a great job, along with our special education assistant director, is how do you incorporate artificial intelligence into helping you with that? And one of the items that teachers have really found helpful is Magic Bus. We just have the free version right now, but it really goes into how to connect specific questions to standards, builds out lesson plans, help you really think about your learning objectives. And it's just a very education-focused chat GPT, if you will. And those are some things where Gretchen and Matt have done some PD, and it's like a mission impossible. And they have certain things that the teachers have to do. And one of them was, you have to write a song that goes to a specific melody. So one teacher wrote a song about his classroom, but it had to be to The Gambler. Okay. And then they used ChatGPT to do that. And then he stood up in front of the whole staff and actually sang it. He's very awesome voice, but he stood up there and sang it. I mean, the teachers were like, this is the best PD ever because it incorporated everything. You know, it was kind of a scavenger hunt to learn AI, but then it was also application. And then there was also great engagement. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, and these tools, AI is actually becoming really powerful, and there are a lot of applications, as you mentioned, and getting teachers to get trained on it can really help. It's definitely, there's such a diverse population. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So maybe you can. So it's a good segue into that. So how do you actually handle these different challenges with respect to such a diverse population of teachers who some of them might be on the spectrum of like, oh, I want to use it today, and then some of them like, okay, well, let's wait and see.
So one thing that we've incorporated is in our virtual school, we use a curriculum, Edmentum. And within Edmentum, they actually developed an AI detector, and it's called Copy Leaks. And so we're incorporating that this year and getting ready to really do some PD around what does this look like and how is it going to help us and where are going to be the challenges, because even though that's an AI detector, kids know that there's an AI detector, so they won't get caught with an AI detector. And I don't know the names of those websites, but I know they exist. And so how do we handle that? At the same time, it's been interesting as a learner myself, as I'm completing my dissertation, is it's a thought partner. Because like I'll get on a topic and I'll get stuck, and then I might go to ChatGPT and I'll say, summarize blah, 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 blah. And then by reading what it tells me, that kind of gives me a push to get going on my writing again. And as I was doing that this summer, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting strategy to teach teachers and students, because normally they're just looking at just write it for me. But rather than doing that, have them write it, read it, analyze it, and then apply it yourself. I thought was a really interesting way of using AI. So that's something we're going to attempt to maybe practice in a couple of English classes, maybe science class. I used it in statistics. You know, I would do my best to figure it out and couldn't, and then say, how do you do this? And it would show me, and I'd be like, oh, that's where I made the mistake. And so then I could correct it. So it wasn't like it was doing it for me, but it was a way to check my work and see what did I misunderstand? Where did I skip a beat? And I was able to fill in the gap. So I'm hoping those are some ways that we can do that and use those kinds of tools. We are very, very new to trying to incorporate. And I'm seeing a lot of studies that are happening in other states, or especially in colleges, higher education. They're really gangbusters. So been trying to learn more there as well in order to inform how we should move forward.
Yeah, exactly. It's I feel like it's creating these micro learning loops where earlier you had like this really long cycle where you would learn something and then teacher would ask and then you would wait for the teacher feedback and so on. Now you can actually iterate so much quickly and within these micro learning loops. So yeah, that's great.
I like that, micro learning loops. I'm going to steal that.
Go ahead. Cool. So, and you talked about like your district exploring different tools. So it's great to hear that you're in terms of trying to see what works and help teachers. So generally, like there's so many different tools out there, right? So what kind of criteria do you generally use to evaluate these tools?
Well, right now, we have a couple of teachers, our assistant director in special ed, who have really taken the charge, taken the lead in that. And they've been doing the research and the learning. They bring it back to Gretchen and me. We have a conversation around it, and then we build a PD from what they've researched. So I'm not saying, I feel what is that, like an imposter? Because really it's the teachers that we're encouraging to say, learn this and then come back and share so we can learn from you. And that, I think that goes without saying. Teachers appreciate learning from teachers rather than somebody that comes in from another company or something. But, we have a science teacher that's really diving into the Gemini program that Google has. She's getting ready to share some of her insights with that. We've also had someone really digging into Grammarly and figuring out, hey, where are some ways that we can really use this where it benefits students and it doesn't cause more headaches for teachers. So as we continue to push teachers to have those kinds of conversations, we're going to start developing guidelines and expectations, and especially, what you said in regards to how are you checking, how are you making sure what you're doing is valid? It's really kind of trial and error right now. And I think it's going to be important for us to look at some of those studies at the higher education. And then, of course, our director of IT is awesome. He's on top of everything. So he helps.
Yeah, what you talked about, like teachers learning from other teachers and depending on each other for learning, it is so true, especially in today's day and age where things are moving so fast that it's really impossible for one person to actually be aware of all the things. So yeah, I do see it where even my friends in technology, we share with each other like, okay, oh, did you see this? Did you hear about that? And that's the only way you can actually keep up to speed with this rapid change that is happening. Great.
Another interesting thing that's happening, I think, in higher education, specifically with education preparation, is that not many colleges have an AI for education course yet.
Uh-huh.
Now I have one of my kiddos, my son is going to Indiana University in Indianapolis, and he's actually required to take an AI note-taking course. They're already getting undergraduates ready for AI, but I feel like when I talk to Ball State, I'm like, do we have an AI class yet? So I can take it and we can really dig into it. And they're like, no, we're not ready. We don't have that yet. So I think as everyone starts catching up to the technology, the better things are going to look.
Yeah. So, you talked about like the different AI tools and how to help the teachers like with professional development and so on. Have you seen an example where you really thought there was some tool which really helped teachers scale their like feedback or assessment cycle?
So the one that I'm familiar with is Magic Bus. And it has it has a place where you can go in for immediate feedback. Something I'm excited to look into is I think Gemini has a similar tool. And we just got that for our school. So I'm hoping with that, the feedback is going. But, you asking that question, I'm thinking about our PD around checks for understanding. That may be a perfect way to say, hey, here's a way to get AI to help you with checks for understanding. Especially if they can create their own files where they keep specific things. Because what I learned about ChatGPT is you can make a file about, let's say, walkthroughs, and then another file about principal data. And you can actually just talk into your phone and tell it, on March 5th, I observed Karen Oliver trying checks for understanding using AI with students to give immediate feedback. And then if you use that same sentence, that short same sentence over and over and over with the dates, it calculates how many times you saw that. So if you're strategic on how you organize within the AI, I'm really excited to figure out how to use that, because it'll tell you the day, it'll tell you what you saw, because it remembers everything. So I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many different tools and different things that are happening, and people are really finding all creative ways to actually use it as well. And what you described really fits into that. So, can you, while there is so much excitement about the use of AI, are you seeing teachers being concerned about AI adoption as well?
Oh, yes. Especially your English teachers. And I'm a former English teacher, so I understand their pain. And I think this summer, the experience I had with using AI to help me write is a perfect way of saying, if you train your students, if you show them, here's a strategy to use to help you write or to make the point you want to make without just copying and pasting it over, then they're going to be more likely to start using it in a way that you want them to, rather than saying, no AI. If I see anybody with AI, automatic 0. Because to me, that makes the kids want to do it even more. It's like, okay, so how can I do this without them knowing I'm using AI? And hence all of these sites that are coming up that, counteract every tool we have that figures out that you did use AI. I also wonder, I know that there are some things happening right now where you can actually cite that, hey, you found this information through ChatGPT. I wonder what that looks like and how that's going to evolve, because that makes me a little nervous, because even though I know ChatGPT is pulling from the web, from different sources, is it a good idea to cite ChatGPT? I don't know. But I know that's something that I've seen happening in different places. I can't even tell you where it's mostly online. As I'm researching things, like, people will cite ChatGPT, and I'm like, how are you doing that in a formal paper? But learning more about that will be exciting.
Yeah. So there are some website tools which have, as you said, started to kind of show citations, just to make sure, because you remember there used to be such a big thing about hallucinations, circa 2023 when ChatGPT first came on. Right now they want to actually show that whatever it is outputting is actually grounded in real data. So like if you've heard of perplexity .ai, then it actually, whatever search results it actually shows some of the references from where it actually pulled the data. So I think those are
Yeah, see
becoming really popular. Yeah.
that makes sense.
Uh, cool. So now, can you talk a little bit about uh, uh, if there has been a program, and we talked about like teacher burnout earlier, right, and stress. If there was a specific program that made a difference to teacher retention, and what were some of the benefits that you saw from it?
Magic Bus.
Okay. All
When
right.
they learned that, they were like, oh my gosh. And they automatically started using it in a way that was helping rather than doing. Like they would say, write a lesson, write a unit about the Civil War between these 2 years, and boom, 3 weeks of lesson plans would pop up. Now, did they do it exactly the way that told them to? No, but did that get them started and able to instead focus on being creative and how to engage and how to represent different cultures and backgrounds? Yes, because they're like, cool. All of this is here because I said to align it to Indiana standards. It did it for me. Now, how can I use this in the best way to get to the result I want? And they were ecstatic when they saw that. Even the teachers that were poo-pooing AI because they're like, this is awful. This is terrible. All they're going to do is cheat. And then they saw that and they were like, oh, what a time saver. What a way to really spark more creativity of how rather than the what. And or even focusing in on the why, like how and why about the what. I mean, that's what gets kids engaged. That's what gets teachers passionate about their subject. So I think once they saw that, they were just very excited and like began to understand the benefits alongside the cons and the challenges.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, so yeah, I heard that it definitely helps the teachers. On the student feedback side, do you see giving like timely feedback to students, especially on their like assessments and so on, as a challenge, or if not, like what are some of the things that you've done there to help that situation?
So I'm just going to be honest. We haven't really gotten there yet, but through our goals this year of that check for understanding strand,
Okay, okay.
that's where we're hoping to integrate that and to really think through, okay, how is this going to speed up your grading? How is this going to speed up students learning? Because they're going to get feedback right away rather than waiting for you to grade 20 essays or, 20 assignments or 20 tests. Now, how do we use AI to help us give that more specific feedback, not just a grade? So we're really excited about digging into that this year.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I see that aligned with a lot of other schools. It seems like there was this cycle where it was initial focus was on like teacher helping teachers and so on, and now it's actually moving to more like instruction and actively getting used. It's wonderful. Mm, so now, yeah, we have a few minutes left. So I want to actually go into this just a minute on lightning round. Just let me get my notes up here. So yeah, Karen, now jumping into our lightning round with leadership in practice. So can you talk about one word to describe your leadership style?
Collaborative.
Excellent. A recent book or an article that influenced your thinking?
Who? Oh my goodness. That's been a lot of different things that I've read. Well, if I think back about specifically AI related,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been so there was a New York City math program, Teach to One,
Mm.
and it was a blend of ML powered scheduling and real time data feeds that generate daily playlists customized per students. So, in evaluation studies, participating students showed math growth of 1.2 to 1.5 times the
Oh, wow.
national average. And that one, and although I haven't been able to really dig into that one, that's one I have highlighted that I think is going to be very connected to the goal that we have this year. And that type of information that they did, how does that impact the goals that we're trying to accomplish for us at Options?
Great. Yeah, that's I'll check that out. Actually, that's really interesting. I didn't know about that. Okay, one district level change that you're most proud of.
When I came here, we were a very top down structure. And last year, I was so excited when our superintendent looked at me and he said, why do all these organization charts, they're all hierarchy?
Uh,
But what if you don't lead that way? He said, what if, he's like, there's got to be something that can flatten it out a little bit better and show that even though, yeah, this person reports to this person, they collaborate with everybody. And so I'm really excited that we're moving into that more collaborative leadership and organizational style.
Well, that's totally aligned with your leadership style. So I'm sure it'll be great success. Uh, what gives you hope about the future of education?
Whew, that's a tough one. Um, I guess when you think about the retention of teachers and the lack of graduating students coming out and saying teaching is what they want to do is also declining. I think things like AI will be, I think it might regenerate some interest in teaching because there was another school, I think in Texas, who did a study where they had students on AI for 2 hours a day where they went through subject coursework. I'm not sure how they had it set up, but they would spend like 30 minutes on English, 30 minutes on math. Then they would come in, have in-person instruction. And so I'm really interested to see how that would actually work because that's such a great hybrid blended learning experience that would allow teachers more time to communicate with families, communicate with students. You know, the students are working on AI, they're learning about whatever on AI, and the teacher's free to do other things that they normally do at night. So I'm hoping that kind of pulls some more people into the teaching profession to see what that might bring.
Yeah. I'd seen that school, Alpha School AI, and yeah, it was
Yes.
really interesting model. Great. And then before we part ways, what's one piece of advice that you would like to give to other chief academic officers navigating these challenges?
I think it's really important to plan and allow space to be flexible. So here's my plan. And in October, the state decided to come out with this new test. Well, I have a day or two in here where I can actually spend on that, and I don't have to panic because I don't have the time I need. So it's planning with flexibility in mind.
Great. So thank you, Karen, for joining us. We had a really exciting episode focused on feedback loops, helping teachers, and then collaborative leadership. It was wonderful to hear your experience and background and all the exciting things that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a story, question, or insight from your own classroom or campus? We would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in to the Magna AI podcast. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube and learn more at magnaeducation.ai. Because when we support teachers with the right tools, we unlock what's possible for every learner.